Okay folks, from 44 degrees north latitude at 44 outdoor, I guess I'm just kind of in a holding pattern. Wait for my tent to dry. After 2 weeks in the GI Arctic tent, I just thought I'd go over the experience before I tear the camp down. As mentioned before, the slope of the roof is very steep, 2-foot walls. The door, whatever this is, 4 feet. And the reason being, the heat is trapped in. When you enter and exit the tent, you don't get your heat loss out the door of the tent. I don't know if there's enough light, but we'll take a look in the tent and have a look at the layout. As mentioned before, it's a hexagon. That means 6 sides, 6 stakes to anchor the floor, and at least 6 more for those lines you see for the walls. I'm going to get in closer and let's see if there's light enough in here to I don't know. Okay, anyways, okay. Anyways, because of the slope of the roof, your space for walking around is about 6 feet across. A taller person's, it'll be narrow. Very short people, you have more room to get yourself out to the wall. And basically, the layout, let me put the camera back, what we're looking at here, because of the space, you're going to have things positioned out at the edges of the wall so that you have room inside the tent. And this is pretty much the layout I've had for a couple of weeks. There's one cot, it wasn't in that exact spot. There's a cot along the back wall. I had a camp stool right where the two meet. Off to the side where you see the box, there's a cook table, which was just a 2-foot by 4-foot board, and so I'm packing it up. That's the box that the stove came in. The stove is an England stove, Survivor Series Cub. Cub is the smallest, and I'll be doing a product endorsement on that later. And so basically, that's pretty much the layout. I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but on the floor there's fir, looks like pine all over the place, and there's some carpet. And so when I pitched the tent, I pitched it on ice. Basically the ground was frozen, full of water, and it was ice. And so I covered the floor with pine so I could walk knowing that the ice was going to melt and it was going to be wet. And on top of the pine, you'll see the pieces of carpet, of course in disarray now, and that's what I did. It still was a sloppy mess, but that's what I did. Let me get in here and okay. And so basically, pile of wood, stove, cook table, cot, and cot. And something to mention, all these strings that you see are holding the liner up against the outside wall of the tent. And let me get out of here, back that camera out again, and so as usable space goes, they call the tent a 5-person. As you can tell by having 2 cots in there, that with cots it really is a 2, possibly a 3-person. Let me get us back out of there. And so basically, as I look at it, I want to say that I wasn't all wild about the slope of the roof being steep, and just going to reach for something on a cot or the cook table or whatnot. Your head's bumping the canvas on the roof, and so and I'm going to back the camera up a little bit more, and that wasn't real bad, but okay. The height of the door, I understand why it is the way it is, and you know, all about heat, but I want to say that the door configuration was the deal breaker for me, and that is because having to duck, squat down to enter and exit the tent, I want to say that's a deal breaker for me, and I would prefer a regular old canvas wall tent with a taller door opening, and deal with the heat loss in some other manner. And so, okay, I said holding pattern. What I'm doing is I'm just hanging out, waiting for the tent to dry. So I was going from single-digit temperatures during the day and, of course, at night, to about a day and a half of pouring rain. And so, of course, this side of the tent's on the shady side. It's still drying, and so there was nothing about the tent that was waterproof, and all of the walls that you see were soaked, and pretty much all of the walls of the liner inside the tent were also soaked. So that made it a tough go in the tent, and so that made it quite the challenge. And I want to say that it's not my first choice. And when they say Arctic tent, they mean Arctic, because it's just not for warmer, wet weather. It just didn't work for that. The stove jack, you can see the chimney. The stove jack didn't show any signs of melting, any signs of anything. I want to say that the stove jack worked just fine, and the wood stove worked just fine. However, as far as time management goes, cutting wood every few days to feed the stove took away a substantial amount of time that I could have been using for other things. But, you know, that's the way it is. And so basically, that is my recap on the Arctic tent, whoops, after a 2-week stay. And so, and I don't know if we noticed, I didn't mention, and the doors have liners too. I didn't want to unzip both liners to be in and out of the tent. And so basically, okay, thanks viewers and subscribers. 44 degrees north latitude. After 2 weeks, that's my recap of a 2-week stay in the GI Arctic 5-person tent. Thanks much.